Hey everyone, it's Miss Alvarado. We're going to be knocking out Wednesday's Give Me 5 for page number 7. And let's go ahead and get started. The first column, they want us to multiply 401 times 5. 401 times 5. Let's start off in the lowest place value. This is the ones place. So 5 times 1 equals 5. 5 times 0 equals 0. And 5 times 4 equals 20. Boys and girls, your final answer or your product for this problem is 2005. 2005. All right, the next column is they want you to find the equivalent decimal to these three fractions. The three fractions that they want us to convert is 1/2, 1/2, 3/4, and 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and write those fractions. And if you remember, these are benchmark fractions. These are the kind of fractions that you might have measuring cups in your kitchen, and they'll have 3/4 or 1/4 or 1/2 cup or a whole cup, which is a whole. Okay, so the first one is 1/2. So we want to find the equivalent decimal to 1/2, okay? So none of these are wholes. So we know that our decimals, our numbers will be behind the decimal, okay? Behind this decimal. And if you want to put a 0 there in the ones place, so you know that none of these are wholes, so we're not going to have any whole numbers. So all our numbers are going to be behind the decimal, okay? So the decimal that's equivalent to 1/2, boys and girls, is 5/10. 5/10. And even if you wanted to put a placeholder 0 behind it, you could. So it could be 5/10 or 5/100, okay? Because what's half of a dollar? 50 cents. Okay, 3/4. Okay, think of quarters. Okay, it takes 4 quarters to make a dollar, which is a whole. So how much money would you have if you had 3/4? That's right. 75 cents. So that is the equivalent fraction, 75/100. And the last one, okay, think of quarters. 4 quarters equal a dollar or a whole. Okay, so how much money do you have if you only have 1 quarter? 25 cents or 25/100. So on the Google form, it will accept decimal 5 or decimal 50, decimal 75, and decimal 25. If you want to put the 0 before, it'll accept those answers as well. All right, let's move on to the next column. The next column, they want you to subtract decimals. So first things first, when you set up your problem, you're going to put the bigger number on top, and then you're going to make sure you line up your decimals. So it's 12 3/10 minus 4 56/100. I'm going to show you what that looks like. When you set it up, this is what it needs to look like. My bigger number on top, my decimals are lined up, and I'm ready to subtract. Well, 0 needs something to subtract from, 6 needs something to subtract from, so we're going to put a placeholder 0. A placeholder 0 so that we can subtract. And let's go ahead and get started. We always start off in the lowest place value. So 0 minus 6. We know we can't do that. You can't take anything away from 0. So we have to go to our neighbor and borrow. The 3 is going to give us a 1, so the 0 becomes a 10. What does that 3 become? A 2. So 10 minus 6, boys and girls, equals 4. Okay, so what about 2 minus 5? Can I do that? No, so I have to go to my neighbor, and they're going to give us 1. That's going to make that 2 into a 12, and this 2 into a 1. So what is 12 minus 5? 7. Drop my decimal down. Can I subtract 1 minus 4? No. So I have to go and borrow. Comes 11. 11 minus 4. 7. And 0 minus nothing is nothing, so you don't have to worry about it. Your final answer, boys and girls, is 7 and 74/100ths. The next column is the solve and label column with the strip diagram. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and label your strip diagram. What information did they give you and what information are you missing? Okay, and based on that information, what operation are we going to do? Are we going to add, subtract, multiply, divide? So let's take a look at Wednesday's strip diagram. Okay, this one right here. We have our whole. We have one of our parts, but we're missing the other part, okay? So I'm going to subtract my whole minus my one part to find my missing part. So 1,000 minus 121. $1,000 minus 121. Now you already know what I'm going to say. When you're subtracting, you always put the bigger number on top, okay? So when you set it up, it should look like this, and your numbers are lined up by place value, okay? Let's go ahead and get started in the ones place. 0 minus 1. I can't do that, so I gotta go to my neighbor. They don't have any for us to borrow. They don't have any for us to borrow, but this guy does. So he's gonna give us 1. It's going to make it a 10. But remember, this 0 is the one that needs some. So he's going to give us 1. Okay? And then he's going to give us 1 so that the 0 finally becomes a 10. Okay? So 10 minus 1 equals 9. 9 minus 2 equals 7. 9 minus 1 equals 8. And nothing minus nothing is nothing. So your final answer, boys and girls, is 879. And if we wanted to check this answer, we can do the inverse operation to subtraction, which is addition. So if we wanted to check our answer, what would we do with these 3 numbers? Okay, and only these 3 numbers. It can't be anything else. How can I check my answer? That's right. We're going to add 879 plus 121. And if we did it correctly, we should get 1,000. If we don't get 1,000, then this is not the correct answer. So I'm just going to go ahead and add 121 at the bottom, and let's see if we get 1,000. 9 plus 1 equals 10. 7, 8, 9, 10. 8, 9, 10. And we get 1,000. Our answer is correct. Okay, so for the solve and label, for the strip diagram, your answer is 879. 879. And then the last column is the multiplication facts. Okay, 12 times 4 equals 48. 2 times 12 equals 24. 12 times 8 equals 96. If you need to repeat that 3 times, 5 times, 10 times, make sure you get that memorized, okay? So that concludes Wednesday's Give Me 5 for page number 7, and I want to turn your attention to behind me. So in my last video, we read those first 2 right here. Think of one thing you're grateful for, okay? And then another one was connect with somebody, so like a friend or a family member that you haven't seen or talked to lately. Or, you know, hit up your teacher. I would love to talk to y'all. I'm going to be giving some of y'all a phone call later. And I added 2 more. Get some fresh air and exercise. Boys and girls, it is so important that you go outside and enjoy the beautiful weather before the rain comes, and just step outside and get some fresh air. You go. You can do that like 3 times and you'll be good. And you'll be amazed on how your body and your mind feels, okay? So y'all try doing that, and I'll see y'all in my next video. I love y'all and I miss y'all.